El Derby will be missing Mbappe, 3 weeks out as he has picked up an injury, with lots of games played under his belt recently. Now, following on from Rodri's comments about player welfare and an overpacked schedule, our Fernando Palomo spoke to Javier Tebas and this situation came up.
Bueno, hablando de crítica, Rodri ha dicho que, Rodri, mediocampista español del Manchester City, que alguien tiene que cuidar por nosotros se refiere a los futbolistas. Ha hablado ya de cómo los sindicatos en distintos países están tomando cartas en el asunto e incluso hay demandas en la estructura judicial de Europa. ¿Se puede solucionar el tema del calendario para favorecer a los futbolistas sin que esto involucre reducir las ligas?
Aquí hay dos aspectos claros. Uno está el problema de los futbolistas de élite, que son 200, como el caso de Rodri, que ya no dan ni por el tema de salud física y mental, que es un tema, pero también está que se está rompiendo el ecosistema económico del fútbol europeo y del fútbol mundial, pero más del europeo, y también afecta a aquellos que no juegan todas las competiciones porque van a dejar de recibir menos ingresos en esas competiciones, van a bajar los salarios, van a desaparecer clubes o van a ingresar mucho menos, y también se está rompiendo todo el equilibrio del sistema económico con esta cuestión, y el dinero va a ir destinado a los clubes más ricos y a los jugadores que encima se están quejando de tener un calendario constreñido. Por lo tanto, hay que solucionarlo. Esto es tema de matemáticas, 2 más 2 son 4 y estamos intentando que sean 2 más 2, 6 con más partidos. Hay que volver a los 4 y los 4 hay que quitar aquellas cuestiones que se han añadido en los últimos 10 años que no suman nada positivo del ecosistema del fútbol.
It is interesting, isn't it, here, Shaka, because you do hear a LALIGA president here in favour of what the likes of Rodri are saying, that there are too many games right at the moment, and that's what we're seeing. It seems across the board, and people in this position are seeing it too.
Yeah, and listen, I agree with everything Tebas says there, and to his point that the economic system within the game is fractured. I kind of neither here nor there on that. I feel certain that a lot of this has come about with the rise of the Premier League and the way the TV rights that league can continue to command, or the disparity between the Premier League and everybody else. So while English football clubs can spend more by virtue of that increased TV revenues, everybody else is trying to do the same without the same income from TV revenues. So you have a Real Madrid and a Barcelona, and I know they dictate a lot of their own commercial enterprise, but you have an Atletico Madrid or whoever, Bayer Leverkusen, who simply do not get that kind of revenue from TV, but trying to recruit the best players at the same prices, pay a competitive wage, and more those clubs are finding themselves in hardship, and as a result have to play more and more games or longer pre-season tournaments or whatever it may be, just in terms of making the books balance in some way. Now, again, I think maybe these leagues have to, or clubs, or however it is, just have to reposition themselves as to where they are in the fabric of that game, how they compete or not, as the case may be with the English Premier League. Let's use the Eredivisie as an example. So many of those clubs just see themselves as selling clubs, and that's how the league is positioned. And it works for them. They're not going to win the Champions League anytime soon, but that's not their target. Their target is to continue to thrive, to develop players, recognizing where they are in the economic landscape.
Can somebody explain to me how having more games, more tournaments benefits the smaller teams? Because the only teams winning all these extra tournaments are the big teams, which means they get more money for winning it, which means nothing changes. So what does all these new tournaments have to do with trying to level the playing field financially? It doesn't. It doesn't change it at all. It just means certain teams, certain players and certain organisations are bringing in more money for themselves. The guys who are struggling to keep up, playing more games and playing a Club World Cup isn't going to change the difference. Mm-hmm. It's just going to keep it either the same or the other teams are going to get more money anyway. Doesn't change anything in more games. Makes no sense.
Luis, are you still there with us?
Yes, I think
okay,
that... Yeah, go ahead. I was thinking about what the guys are saying. They are totally right. In the end, the sport that we all love and the passion that we all have has become a massive business, and everyone wants to be to get a piece of the cake. And what is happening is that we arrived to a point that there is no way back, because everyone wants the best players in their team, everyone wants the best stadium, everyone wants to win the trophies, and in the end, you need to bring the money into the clubs. And how you do that? By playing games. I remember when I was playing in the pre-season time, and we used to start with playing against teams maybe 2 weeks after a good pre-season, 2 weeks after you get a good rhythm on the game, and playing against teams of third division and fourth division and then second division. Right now, the players are putting in front of top to toe, Liverpool against Barcelona, Manchester United against Arsenal, just right in the preseason. They start with getting exhausted just from the first minute. So in the end, because all those games are going to bring some money for the club. So I think there is a snowball that is getting bigger and bigger, and it's going to be very, very difficult to go back, because everyone wants something of this business of football.
I think one of the other interesting points with it is, so we've just seen what's happened to Rodri. We saw the front page there of Diario AS, Mbappe. The bigger the names of the players that are getting affected by this fixture congestion, even though this shouldn't be the case, maybe the more is going to be done about it, because these are the names that everybody wants to be seeing on a weekly basis in football.
Always the way. Those big names put bums on seats in stadiums and certainly bring eyeballs to the TV screens. And when you have big names like a Rodri kind of speaking out in the way that it does, obviously it's going to carry far more gravity than somebody playing for a Nottingham Forest or whatever it may be. When you have a Kylian Mbappe going down with an injury, it just strikes so much more than anybody else at any other club. And again, it highlights that while we're talking extraordinary amounts of money, they're still human beings. And to Tebas' point, there's a ceiling to that, physically and mentally, that the players simply can't go beyond. You can pay them more money if you like, but they're still not going to be able to go past that ceiling. So at some point, common sense has to prevail. At some point, it even goes beyond common sense, just business sense. You can only pay players this amount because they can only play this amount. And have those clubs kind of maintain those budgets and those balances accordingly. It is not a bottomless pit to both the money and how much you can get out of players.
Well, let's go back to the matter of La Liga and Atleti and Real Madrid coming up this weekend. Obviously, a game that Mbappe won't feature in. When it comes to derbies between the two in all competitions, and you look at the last 4 matches compared to the previous 12 matches, there is a big difference between what we are seeing. And so, with this in mind and with what we've seen from Atleti recently, are you optimistic or worried, Luis, for Atleti this weekend?
Honestly, even though that I know that this Atletico Madrid is ready to face anyone because they got the quality and the talent of the field, what I've seen so far of this Atletico Madrid is not promising to me. Real Madrid is not going to have Mbappe up front. And that's, I think, is a big blow, even though the people say that they're still having the same players that they won Champions League in La Liga last year. Yeah, that's fine. But having Mbappe always give you something extra, and not having it right now is always going to get in the back of your head. So I think that right now is Real Madrid favorite to win the derby, but we'll have to wait and see. Again, these kind of games are very difficult to win, but also very exciting for the players. So anything can happen.
Speaking about the back of your head, where is your Atleti jersey? We see Barcelona, we see Liverpool. What about Atleti, Luis?
You want the truth? I got my other connection here on my right, but it wasn't working. And right there, I got the Atletico Madrid and Barcelona. So I have to move to this one. And on this one, we got Barcelona and Liverpool.
Seems a likely excuse.
Yes, we'll let you off with that one. Do you think it's going to be a big factor without Mbappe? Given that it's been the way it's gone this season so far?
No, I actually think that Mbappe's injury will make this very simple for Ancelotti to pick his team. You know, if everybody's fit. So he just goes straight back to what he did last year. And you can talk about, well, it's a different year and blah, blah, blah. But there's one thing, every single player knows exactly what they were doing last year. They know exactly what the coach was looking for. They know exactly what's expected. as opposed to this year when things have been changed around. Now, when you go to a straightforward front three and you change the middle three as well, that's a huge change. And so far this season, 6 games in? That's why they've struggled, because that cohesiveness just isn't there yet. So the fact that coming into such a big game, Ancelotti can just give the team out and they all know exactly what's expected. I think that's way easier than be scratching your head, figuring out how do we play with the front three with Mbappe, or do we, there's just so many questions. Not now. There isn't any questions anymore. It's just he knows exactly the team and they know exactly what's expected. Now they've got to perform, yes, but no, I think it's an easy 11 to pick for Ancelotti.
Yes, we will be with you for El Derby this weekend right here on ESPN Plus. Be sure to be with us. Coverage will begin at 2:30 p.m. Eastern in the build-up to this big rivalry, Atleti taking on Real Madrid.